Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. We've just covered Torok, so why not Oxyotl too with his own faction focus? Oxyotl is the newest legendary lord to join the ranks of the Lizardmen in the Silence and the Fury DLC, which will be released in July 14th. For a little bit of context, Oxyotl is an ancient skink. Not only that, but he is perhaps one of the oldest living lizardmen. You see, long ago he found himself trapped within the Chaos Wastes for quite a few millennia. He of course managed to survive through all those untold horrors, but he has returned into the Warhammer fantasy world with what could be explained no better than PTSD, or rather extreme bouts of it. He now dedicates his very existence to hunting down any demons that might find themselves in the Warhammer world, and anyone associated with anything chaos related. Torok is of course very close to becoming some sort of beastman demonkin, so he knows that there is a danger there and he must deal with Torok before he becomes invincible. Which leads into the plot of the DLC, but let's just jump in now and check out how Oxyotl's campaign will play. In the Eye of the Vortex campaign, Oxyotl will begin in the region known as the Deadwood, surrounded at all sides by different Norscan tribes. Of course, to the left of you do have some variety, the Skaven of Clan Moulder, and a decent amount of Dark Elves to keep you busy, so you won't be fighting the same thing over and over. In the Mortal Empires map, you'll also begin in the Deadwood, but that area has been changed. You'll still mostly be surrounded by Norscans. However, if you don't want to go in to the left of the map and deal with Dark Elves, you can easily move into the right, go into Norsca, and eventually go into the Old World. Orth 1 is also an option in both games, however, since the Elves generally stay to themselves, there's not really too much of a point to go down there. Oxyotl's faction trait, the Returned, has the following benefits. Upkeep minus 25% for skink and chameleon skink units in all armies. Looks like Tehenowin is no longer the big boy on campus. Additional +1 melee attack, melee defense and leadership per experience rank for all skink infantry, and additional +1 speed and missile damage per experience rank for all skink infantry. This means that as they gain chevrons, your skinks will become more and more powerful. As they can have a total of 9 chevrons, that's +9 to a lot of different effects. Skinks will naturally become a mainstay unit within your armies if you can level them up quite well. Oxyotl's own personal trait, He That Hunts Unseen, has the following effects. Immune to diplomatic penalties from trespassing, Lord's Army. This is quite beneficial for a stealthy character, and honestly should be with more stealthy characters. Has access to Masterful Ambush Stance, requiring less movement range to adopt and with a reduced detection chance for Lord's Army. Armor Piercing Missile Damage plus 50% for all skink infantry units in Lord's Army. This is where your ranged skinks will be quite strong. And finally, experience gain for units plus 200% when fighting against Beastmen, Chaos, and Norsca for Lord's Army. Just a little tip here, you might remember that in your faction effects, your skinks get more powerful as more chevrons they acquire, so if you decided to directly beeline into Norsca as soon as you could and smashed your way through that, your skinks will be very powerful very early on into your campaign. Oxyotl has a rather powerful dedicated skill tree, from not only gaining Sanctum Gems per turn, we'll speak about that in due course, to increasing research rate and unique experience by 150 per turn, meaning that you're going to get those chevrons a lot faster. You'll also be able to benefit from a wide variety of different attributes, such as Unspottable for the Chameleon Skinks, Stalk for all skink infantry, Snipe for the Chameleon Skinks once again, and also reducing the upkeep for Troglodyons, Kotals, and Skink Oracle units by 15% for his army. Not only that, but one specific skill focuses around you being in foreign territories, increasing your casualty replenishment by 5%, missile damage for 10%, and melee attack by 8%. This is for your whole army too. The reason why this skill exists is because Oxyotl is going to be extremely mobile throughout his campaign, so you're going to be wanting to have as many benefits as possible to be in enemy territory. The last skill in that skill tree is also very good too. Increase campaign movement range for 15% for his army, ammunition plus 50% for all skink infantry units in that army, Vigor loss reduction minus 50% for all skink and chameleon skink infantry units, and obviously perfect vigor for Oxyotl. As you can see, the skills are focused around you being aggressive, and the whole campaign is centered around you being aggressive. You might recall that there was one skill that would give you Sanctum Gems. Well, Sanctum Gems have to be acquired to eventually get Silent Sanctums. It's not just that skill which will allow you to get this resource, but obviously that skill will make the resource become a lot faster to acquire. You will need a total of 8 gems per sanctum, and then you'll be able to build one up wherever you so wish. So what exactly is a Silent Sanctum? It's very much a hidden settlement that can be under other settlements, very similar to that of the Skaven Undercities and the Vampire Coast Coves. These are completely hidden and may only be built by Oxyotl, no other Lizardmen. 3 different building trees exist here. The first one is the Sanctum itself. This only has one building type, which can focus around giving you visibility around the whole region, or if fully upgraded, it will grant visibility to all adjacent regions. This will help you out if you want to keep an eye on your enemy. Before we move on to the other building sections, it might not sound like the most useful building, but it actually is. You see, how it works for the Sanctums is that you don't need to build it in a location that you own. In fact, as long as you've had visibility of any region and you have the appropriate number of resources, you'll be able to build up a Silent Sanctum wherever you want. And considering the fact that Oxyotl's faction is very mobile and you'll be seeing a lot of the different parts of the world, you'll be building Silent Sanctums very quickly throughout your campaign and having visibility of most of the known world very quickly. The second building tree, known as Operations, focuses on a number of different things, whether it's just reducing recruitment cost or the global recruitment time, to other different things such as casualty replenishment, vigor loss reduction, anything that you will require for your very immediate campaigns. Reduction of upkeep is also possible here, so if you're launching a campaign in very far into enemy territory, you'll be able to benefit from that too if you should so build it. You've also got the chance to spawn a random patrol army, which will attack enemy armies around the area, and also build a unique building which allows you to teleport to different locations. We will get into the teleport aspect of things very soon, don't you worry about that. The last building tree is that of armories, where you can only have one armory building per Silent Sanctum, and these are various different buffs focused around combat. It really just depends as to what style you prefer when it comes to combat itself. Each building has a different focus, melee, defense, or ranged, so again, it focuses around what you decide to pick and what playstyle you prefer the most. I did mention teleporting a few times, so it only makes sense that I explain it. You will have access to a unique tab known as Visions of the Old Ones. This is how Oxyotl will focus around his storyline and allow you to teleport around the map. The missions themselves will vary to some degree, and we will go into detail in just a few moments. You will notice that there are rewards for success, where you will get new visions, sanctum gems, some treasury. It really depends on what exactly the mission is. This is the first ever mission that pops up in your campaign. The consequences of failure, you can see, will only give new visions at the moment. However, that's because this is the first mission. When it comes to further missions, you will get more negatives. Sometimes the enemies will be able to do more damage against you. They'll be generally more powerful. It really can depend. Like I said, the missions do vary, and there are 3 different types. A easy hunt, a normal hunt, and a hard hunt. These will vary depending the troop choices, the enemy armies, and so on. The hunts themselves will be quite far away most times, and you can teleport to them directly. You can only teleport once per turn, but as you can see, this will make you explore through the world map without a problem. Most of these missions are indeed timed, so you will have to get to them within a certain amount of time. The most cases I've seen is around 8 turn average that they'll be active, which means that you can move around quite quickly. If you can teleport there in the same turn, you're going to be fine. Sometimes you will have a number of different ones active, around 3 I think is the most I've seen. And keep in mind that Oxyotl is the only one that is able to teleport, so you can't rely on Oxyotl to defend your borders. In fact, he's going to be moving around quite a lot, so an extra army or 2 won't hurt. Of course, you'll also be able to teleport back to your main capital city, so you've got that option there, and any place that you've built a certain shrine from your Silent Sanctums. This next screen will give you a bit more detail regarding the missions themselves. As you can see, of course, the rewards do vary. Sometimes you can get certain experience gains, sometimes you can get blessed units, even sanctum gems, it really does depend. And you can also see the varying degrees of different negatives, so you can be prepared for pretty much anything. There is one important thing that you need to know about this, however. The missions do vary drastically, and they can send you to different parts of the world. That's always really cool, yes, but you will also be sent to attack factions that you might not be at war with. This is more important to note if you play in harder difficulties, because player bias is a thing, which means that you might end up at war with loads of different factions, especially later on when other factions start allying up. If you like a challenge, it's not too much of a problem, but just keep advised and don't say I didn't warn you. As you can expect, the campaign will be similar to that of Taurox. You will have a narrative focus or a domination focus. The narrative focus will require you to, of course, complete Visions of the Old One, kill off Taurox's faction, and then win the Battle of the Heart of the Dark. I'll be showcasing the big battle in a later video, I just don't want to show it in this one as I don't want to show off any spoilers and ruin it for anyone who might not want to see it. A typical loadout for Oxyotl has been very different when compared to other Lizardmen. Keep in mind that Oxyotl, not his faction but just him, is so drastically different in terms of playstyle. Since you're focusing around moving a lot, it does make sense to bring whatever fits the theme, especially since chameleon skinks are so cheap and you can buff them to high heavens with Oxyotl's skills. What I like to do is replace the chameleon skinks with blessed chameleon skinks when possible, and the stalkers eventually won't be as needed if you can get some high chevron skinks. Pairing up the chameleon skinks with some Troglodon oracles will be very beneficial to you, as you can have some spellcasters and you can also have them vanguard. That's after you pick up a certain few skills, of course. However, they do play out quite well, and if you can focus a lot on skirmishing combat, you will have something fun to do. If you remember more or less how to play as the Deathmaster with loads of gutter runners and so on early on, you should be fine with this until you eventually start moving on to some doom stacks. But given that chameleon skinks are so cheap, you're likely going to be using them a lot when moving around. And especially since they are stalkers, you will not have to lose that many entities if you can keep your enemy at bay. Of course, this is just a suggestion and your playstyle might be a bit different too. Of course, there are a few units joining up with the Lizardmen roster, and as I stated with the Taurox campaign stuff, I want to do a dedicated video to them which will come out later this afternoon, as that way I can go into much greater detail, plus it's not highlighting just the specific legendary lord, as all of these units will be available for all respective lords of their respective race as long as you've purchased the DLC. But what do you guys think about Oxyotl's unique campaign mechanics? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel has been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.